friends, this is Laura and I am in the kitchen making a brunch. This is because of my husband's schedule. I come in here and I'll just make a meal it's like 11 o'clock, so it's an early lunch for most. And what I'm doing today is maybe putting some asparagus that we got at the grocery store today. And I have some haddock that was on sale maybe a month or so ago that I'll be cooking right up. So there'll be more than enough for us. So the only thing that there'll be just sufficient amount is the asparagus. So we'll get this going. And I will get an onion. Is there an onion over there?
They're in a plastic.
Getting the onion ready as well. And since we don't have chickens right now, that might go right into the freezer. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I can do compost or the freezer, and right now I'm going to just do the freezer so that I can make some broth with it later. And with Thanksgiving around the corner, I will have turkey bones and stuff that I can use in the broth with all the veggies that I hang on to. David, do you want potatoes with this?
Yeah, maybe a little bit.
Actually, maybe not, because potatoes take longer, so we'll do potatoes tomorrow. Sorry about my arm getting in the camera way. I'll get these all steamed up, and then I'll put the fish in. This is a quick meal. It's a healthy meal in my opinion, but everybody has their own opinions. We'll get this so that the asparagus gets it to a nice pretty green and the onions become translucent, and that's when I will be adding in the fish. And what I have today is some haddock, and it's about 4 servings, you know, with how much we eat. So after I rinse it down, I just cut it into pieces that I can easily stir fry in. I was going to use the fish in a soup, but I decided this would be a little bit quicker and better and whatever. So I'm in here making a brunch. Basically, it's 11 o'clock in the morning, and cooking up the asparagus, the onions, and the fish will actually be a very sustaining meal and keep us both full for a while. And like I mentioned, the fish is a little more than what David and I would eat in a normal setting, but there's always leftovers. That's the way I look at it. I'm holding the camera so it's moving all over. I apologize. I'm going to put it back down and finish cooking this meal. This is, I can steam the asparagus if I wanted, but I have found that frying it in butter, for me, is something that I prefer. David, you prefer it that way too, don't you?
Not really.
You don't like it this way?
I like it.
He doesn't complain because he's not cooking. I think that's it. So I'm adding in some pepper and some salt, but I don't put a lot of seasoning into something like this. I just let it cook. And the reason I know it's time to put the fish in is the onions are getting a little translucent and they're getting cooked up really nicely. So now I'm going to be adding in the fish, get them coated. And I will get them cooked all in. Turning the heat down because the fish doesn't need that much heat. Everything else is pretty much close to being done. So I will sit here and I will flip the fish over in a little bit. David, could you get me a large Ziploc bag so I can get everything? You can see that the fish is turning a little white on the other side where it was cooked. So you know that it is getting closer to being finished. So what you're doing with the fish, for those who do not cook fish, is you want to cook it until it's flaky. Like this is pretty flaky, but the other pieces are not quite there yet. So I will not consider that this meal is ready to consume yet until all the fish is flaky. Now I could have put more asparagus in here, but because we're not going to eat all of this fish, this is just more sensible for us, and I can have the asparagus for something else and it doesn't get soggy. And what I'll do with the asparagus is I will wash them and then put them on end in a canning jar so that the moisture, it stays with them, and then put it in the refrigerator. And I'm going to get a seasoning to put in there in just a second. So I have here some garlic with herbs. I already have onions in there, so I won't take my onion sleeve. And that's what I'm putting in here. Just a little bit, maybe a spoonful. So that was about a teaspoon of that. Another thing that I'm going to put in, and I've started putting in, David does not like lemon, but I have this lemon pepper mix. And I put a little bit of that in. And honestly, I'm not a big lemon person either. Okay, I just put like half a teaspoon in there. And just to give it a little bit more flavor. The fish is getting to where it's flaking. I'm going to let it cook for just a little bit more and put some of these other pieces. For some reason, this side of the burner cooks faster. So I'll put things over there. That's a key thing when you're cooking, is know how your stove cooks. This particular one, for some reason, cooks faster over there. So everything is flaking away. Fork. David, you want to grab yourself a plate? So you can start. So as you can see, it's just flaking away. And that's where you want your fish to be, and you'll know that it is cooked. It can be brown. Excuse me. It can be brown on the other side too. But this here is perfect. And sure, I'm kind of breaking it up, but I would rather be able to break it up and know that it's cooked through than not. So this is haddock with asparagus, onions, and then some garlic seasoning, salt, pepper, and some lemon pepper. It's very simple, and I sautéed this in butter. And that's what we're having for dinner today. So I wanted to share with you the end results of our lunch. We did sit down, we had some lunch, we both had a good portion, and we basically had this amount between us. So this is the leftover, and I'll show it this way you can see it better. This is a glass container with a plastic lid. Now I wish I could have something that actually had a better top to it, a seal to it that was not plastic. I haven't found any yet, so all in time I'm sure I'll find it. It's probably, if I have found it, it's probably so expensive it's behind me. But this actually is perfect. I do not cook with the plastic lid on it. And I used to years ago. I was like, oh, this will cover it, keep it from spattering, like when my husband used the microwave and stuff. I just don't, because the heat that gets into our plastic is not really good for us. And that's a personal choice, no judgment on those who are fine with it. So I will take the cover off, and either tomorrow we'll have it for lunch or the next day. I'll either saute it up again to heat it up, or I'll take that glass dish, put it in the oven for 350 for about 10-20 minutes. And I will actually put the dish in there while the oven is warming up, which gives me less time of having to wait, which is great for his work schedule. And we try to eat one meal a day together. And because of his work schedule, it's usually late morning that we do. And then on the weekend, it's whenever we remember we're supposed to eat. Actually, when our bellies say it's time to eat. Because we get up and we start working, and he might get up and have a breakfast, but I'm not hungry at 8, 9 o'clock in the morning. So he might have something quick, and by the time he's hungry again, it could be 2 in the afternoon. So that's how it works in this house. And we're trying to be very cautious about how much we're consuming, so that to make sure our food is being utilized fully. Now some people might take this, throw it in the refrigerator and forget. I don't put multiple meals in my refrigerator. If I know that I will not be around to eat this, I would put it in the freezer. And I would actually put it in a smaller container to make it more compact. But I know that we're going to we're going to heat this up and have it for a meal. We've already talked about it. A lot of people put it in the refrigerator and forget it. And so it ends up being in the compost. That is why I choose not to have meals that are too much. Like when Thanksgiving gets here, I'll be making, actually before, I'll make a turkey, and I will cut it down into sandwich meat. I'll make a casserole. I'll do all sorts of stuff. And those will get into the freezer as meals. And those are actually kind of cool, because when we're busy, we don't have time to think about, hey, what do you want? And then there are days that I enjoy cooking, but it's kind of nice. The other day I pulled out of the freezer a lasagna I made. It was a gluten-free lasagna. It was like, hey, what's this? I didn't put gluten-free lasagna on the label. And that's okay, because we know that it's usually a meatloaf, a lasagna, it could be a casserole. I rarely put casseroles in, which I'm surprised I put. The lasagna, it makes too much. So, but I tend not to put pasta type dishes in the freezer. So it was either a meatloaf, the lasagna, or there's some other things that I make that's just meat based. So that's what I do. I don't like to have leftovers, because we work too hard for our food, the money to have the food as well as the time to prepare. So this was good for us. If this did not turn out perfect, all I would do for the next day's meal is I would add in a few more seasonings because the fish, the asparagus and onions are still fine. So, but we liked it, so we're heating it up in the oven tomorrow. Now, I bought 2 packs of asparagus at the grocery store this morning. So what I do with that, I don't just lay it in there in the plastic. I actually take it and put water in that. I'll be right back. Sorry about that. The asparagus, what I do is when I get it in, I just, once I cooked what I want, I don't cook it all because I don't like it as a leftover per se, even though there is some left in the dish. That'll be fine when I go to bake it. I will put this in with some water, just on the bottom, a couple of inches, and that will keep my asparagus fine. I have 2 jars of it, and that's gonna take care of us for a while, but it'll hold it, it'll keep it fresh. I don't know, maybe a couple of weeks, but I tend to cook up my vegetables that are in the refrigerator pretty quickly because I don't like them to go bad and mushy and stuff. Plus, I don't want to feed my compost. So I'm watching all the foods that's coming in. I am buying some at the grocery store in the organic area, and it's still concerning to me because I have gotten some bad vegetables in the past. So I'm trying to do what I can to make sure this stuff is sustainable and that we use it. But I like the carrots. My last time I got carrots are horrible. So I'm trying to watch it. I want to let it sit for a day or two, make sure they're good carrots. And the last ones I picked up were organic and they're looking good. So I'll be able to make some carrot stuff soon. Actually, I'm going to be making a soup. But that's what I do. And this is not to, I may have said it in the prior part before the phone rang. I try to make meals as simple as possible. And just because it's just David and I now, I don't have littles running around or anything, or teens and stuff. I try to make things in small quantities. I'm still sometimes making bigger meals, like the lasagna. I make smaller dishes. But David and I can't possibly eat that much. I can't make a single serve of lasagna, and I only make that maybe twice a year. And that's why it ends up being divided like into 4 different meals for us so that we have it later on. And I make a small batch, and it's gluten-free, and that's what we use for that. So I'm slowly learning to cook for 2 people again. And that's good, that's healthy, because when there's leftovers,